As you can see, the wires have been passed through and plugged in from top to bottom, and the three from the front have been passed through from the bottom to the top and plugged in. Next, using the spacers provided and the screws, we will assemble the top and the bottom together as one unit. Using the brass spacer, placing it in between the two base units, insert a screw, start it by hand. On the other side, pass the screw through the base plate, just tightening it by hand. We will do this with all 6 screws, top and bottom, into the brass colored spacers. And we will tighten these down later after we align the two bases. We will now take the wheel and tire assemblies and place them on the car, noting that the rims, specifically the centers, are not perfectly round. They have flats on them to make them keyed to match the shape of the motor assembly itself. What's recommended is if you can get your thumb behind the motor itself and push the wheel on, you will be spreading the force between the wheel assembly and the motor and not stressing the mounting of the motor on the black acrylic. Once again, providing support behind the motor itself will help assure that the force needed to install the tires will not be damaging the parts that are attached and the acrylic board itself, as the fit is nice and snug. The other thing that you'll notice as the wheels are going on is that the wheel and tire assembly is not necessarily in alignment with the chassis, these base plates boards. As we discussed earlier, you can loosen up the bolts for the individual motor assembly, adjust the alignment, and then tighten the bolts back down. And this will assure that the vehicle will track straight when it's intending to go in a straight line. One more step that is needed is this additional module needs to be installed. I saved this to the end to remind you that this board needs to be removed while programming the Arduino. Once the programming of the Arduino board is done, then this board can be reinstalled. So you may need to be pulling this board out of the Arduino shield a couple of times, especially every time you want to do some programming changes. Note that this module board has 5 volts VCC and ground, and labeled on here is 5 volts and ground. So this module board needs to be plugged in this direction.